In 1967, a rather scruffy airline pilot and a San Antonio lawyer sat at a bar scribbling a triangle on a cocktail napkin. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. 3 points, 3 cities, one simple idea, a low-cost airline that connected them. That little drawing, tossed together over drinks, would become the seed of one of the most disruptive companies in aviation history, Southwest Airlines. It would also ignite a 5-year legal war. See one man risk his own career, his health, and nearly every cent he had, and somehow, through a mix of stubbornness, charm, and sheer audacity, turn just $50 into a multi-billion-dollar empire. This is the story of Herb Kelleher, the lawyer who rewrote the rules of the skies. The man in question, Herbert David Kelleher, was born in Camden, New Jersey in 1931, but by the mid-1960s he had settled in Texas, practicing law in San Antonio. One day, a client named Rollin King, a wild-haired pilot and small-time airline owner, came to him with an idea. "Herb," he said, "if you get your fares low enough, you can get people to stop driving and start flying." They sat down at the St. Anthony Club in San Antonio. King drew 3 dots on a napkin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, and connected them with a triangle. It was deceptively simple. A Texas-only airline, avoiding interstate regulations, offering quick, cheap flights between the 3 busiest cities in the state. When Herb asked how much money King had to start it, King admitted, $50. Herb grinned. "Well," he said, "you're halfway to $100. Let's do it." Southwest Airlines Company was incorporated in March 1967. What Herb and Rollin didn't count on was the fury of their would-be competitors. Braniff International, Continental Airlines, and Trans-Texas Airways saw Southwest as a threat to their lucrative Texas routes. So, before Southwest could take off, the big airlines buried them in lawsuits. From 1967 to 1971, Herb was involved in over 30 separate legal actions, including injunctions, appeals, and restraining orders. It was a war of attrition designed to bankrupt the fledgling airline before it even sold a ticket. At one point, in 1970, the Texas Supreme Court ruled in Southwest's favor, but Braniff and others appealed all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Herb, often working for free, became the public face of the fight. He didn't just argue in court, he argued in the press, winning public sympathy. By December 1970, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear the airline's final appeal. Southwest had its legal clearance to fly. Herb later said, "We started with $50 and a crazy idea. And by the end of the lawsuits, we still had the crazy idea." On June 18, 1971, Southwest Airlines began operations with 3 Boeing 737s, connecting Dallas Love Field, Houston, and San Antonio. Fares were set at $20 one way, half the price of the competition. But within a year, they hit a crisis. Competition was fierce. Fuel costs were rising, and with only 3 planes, Southwest couldn't run enough flights to make ends meet. In 1972, cash was so tight that they sold one of their 737s to Frontier Airlines just to stay afloat. Herb introduced an innovative operational model to compensate for the loss. The surviving 2 planes had to operate as if they were 3. That meant 10-minute turnaround, unheard of in the industry. It was brutal but effective, and it became the backbone of Southwest's legendary efficiency. In February 1973, Braniff decided to kill Southwest once and for all. They dropped their Dallas-Houston fares to $13. Half of Southwest's $26 a rate. Most airlines would have caved. Herb doubled down. He offered passengers a choice: fly for $13 or pay $26 and get a free bottle of Chivas Regal whiskey. The stunt was so popular that the liquor industry had to rush extra shipments to Dallas Love Field. By the end of the $13 fare war, Braniff admitted defeat and restored normal prices. Southwest survived, and in 1973 turned its first annual profit, $1.6 million. Herb wasn't just an executive, he was a showman. He arm-wrestled competitors for charity, dressed up as Elvis, and even settled a trademark dispute with a competitor, Stevens Aviation, by challenging their CEO to an actual arm wrestling match in 1992. That Malice in Dallas match saved both companies legal fees, drew national attention, and turned a potential lawsuit into a publicity win. Internally, Herb treated employees like family. He believed if you put workers first, they'd treat customers right, and the shareholders would win by default. It worked. By 1979, Southwest had expanded to routes outside the original triangle, and in 1981, the airline's stock was listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker LUV, a nod to Love Field and the company's offbeat brand of warmth. In 1979, the Airline Deregulation Act allowed Southwest to expand interstate, but a political roadblock emerged: the Wright Amendment, a law backed by Braniff and American Airlines that restricted flights from Dallas Love Field to Texas and a handful of neighboring states. Herb played the long game. Southwest continued to grow through short-haul markets in the permitted states, lobbying for the repeal of the amendment. It took 27 years, but in 2006, Congress finally lifted most restrictions, opening the door for a nationwide Southwest service from Dallas. From its first profitable year in 1973, Southwest went on to post 45 consecutive years of profitability, an unmatched record in commercial aviation. As of 2019, the airline serves over 60 million passengers annually. It has an annual operating revenue of $22 billion and a market cap that once topped $30 billion, all from a $50 start, a napkin sketch, and a refusal to give up. Herb Kelleher stepped down as CEO in 2001 but remained chairman until 2008. He died in January 2019 at the age of 87. His impact? He didn't just build an airline. He built a culture: low fares, fun flights, fierce loyalty. In an industry where most carriers come and go, Southwest still embodies that original napkin dream. Herb once said, "We have a strategic plan. It's called doing things." From the $13 fare war to the courtroom brawls, from 3 planes to a global fleet, Herb Kelleher proved that big dreams don't need big wallets. They need a big fight. And maybe, just maybe, they need to be drawn on the back of a cocktail napkin. I hope you liked this story. If you did, please do hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching.